Okay, I'm starting time now. Martina Hingis was one of the best tennis players of the 1990s. She won several Grand Slams and was very successful. Starting at just 15 years old, she was competitive in national tournaments. Martina Hingis was one of her kind, and her coach helped her a lot, especially as she was a young child. They bounced ideas off of each other, and her coach became a very important mentor in her life. But unfortunately, their relationship fell apart, and Martina was unwilling to listen to her coach. She did worse and worse on the court until eventually she wasn't very successful at all. She retired from tennis because she was tired of it and she didn't want to keep competing. But ultimately, this idea of not utilizing those around you is exemplified in today's quotation. Some people go through a forest and see no firewood, an English proverb. Basically, what this is telling us is that some people walk through something like a forest and they don't even see trees that they can utilize as a resource like firewood. What we can take away from this is we sometimes purposely neglect our resources. I agree, for two reasons. First, because we like to complain. And second, because we think it helps ourselves. The first reason that we sometimes purposely neglect our resources is because we like to complain. We can see this through two examples. First, Paul Nakasone. Next, Kim Jong-un. Paul Nakasone is an example of a guy who walks through a forest and sees the trees as firewood right away. Not only that, he can probably start a fire with his bare hands. Paul Nakasone is the commander of the United States Cyber Command and NSA. He has a big job. He's in charge of two very important agencies in the United States. As a result, he has tons of people working underneath him, and he needs to act quickly and efficiently to complete tasks. He doesn't complain. Instead, he works hard and he gets things done. So he's the reason that he's not complaining, he's utilizing his resources, and he's working hard to be successful. Next, Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un is the leader of North Korea. In each year, he appeals to the international community, saying that North Korea is experiencing a food shortage, and people are going to go hungry without international assistance. He complains to the international community, and he's right. North Korea is experiencing a food shortage. But when Kim Jong-un gets food aid, he doesn't give it to the North Korean people. Rather, he gives it to the military elite, and he gives it to the people working with him, not the people who are starving. He's just complaining to get what he wants instead of actually reforming his country. Paul Nakasone and Kim Jong-un demonstrate that we sometimes purposely neglect our resources because we like to complain. The next reason that we sometimes purposely neglect our resources is because we think it helps ourselves. Let's explore this through a couple of examples. First, Zimbabwe. Next, Peter Frampton. Zimbabwe is a country that has a lot going wrong for it. In the early 2000s, their economy experienced a contraction. And as a result, they wanted to dig themselves out by printing more money. The government printed money, which led to tons of inflation, and then boosted taxes so that people had to give their less valuable money back to the government. People had to transfer wealth to the government and have less at their hands. The government was just making money at the expense of the people and using a brutal style to take away resources from the people and feed them straight to the government. They decided not to use tools like fiscal and monetary policy because they thought it would help them more to hurt others. Next, Peter Frampton. Peter Frampton was a very successful astrophysicist at UNC Chapel Hill. But instead of being kind to women and dating them normally, he couldn't do that. So he went online, found a woman who got him into the drug trade, and ended up going to prison in Argentina. He didn't do a very good job. He didn't see his resources available, so he ended up in jail. Zimbabwe and Peter Frampton demonstrate that we sometimes purposely neglect our resources because we think it helps itself. So in returning to today's quotation, some people go through a forest and see no firewood, an English proverb. What we can take away from this is we sometimes purposely neglect our resources because we like to complain and because we think it helps ourselves. Maybe Martina Hingis would have been more successful without her coach.